Well, Merry Christmas! We are going to create a festive wreath that you can either adorn within your house or your front door for the festive season. Today we're going to look at some great elements and some really simple techniques to be able to bring your Christmas wreath to life. So let's take a closer look. Within your box you'll receive some great elements to use. You'll have some wire, some snips. We've also packed for you our ring, which will form the base of all of your wreaths. We have some beautiful and very special textural garnish ribbon that we'll use to add a bit of different element this year to your festive wreath. And we have a great selection of foliages, little nuts. We've got some beautiful Christmas bush, cypress, and all of these elements that we're going to use and you'll receive in your box will dry so that you'll be able to pack this wreath away and enjoy it again next year. Let's get building. So the first step is to sort your varieties into their like for likes. The next step is to create gorgeous little bunches with your foliages. To do that, what you need to do is start by just choosing and cutting down little aspects of each of the varieties and bundling them together to create gorgeous little bunches. The gum nuts sometimes can be a little bit heavy, so make sure you leave them to just the front of your bunches. Because these bunches are actually botanical elements and they will dry and become everlasting, when you're tying them together to secure the bundles or the little clusters, you want to make sure that they are super tight, because the stems, when they start to dehydrate and shrink, they're going to get loose in the binding. So you just want to make sure that they're super tight at this stage so that your wreath holds together. So now that we've made our 5 little bundles or clusters of our gorgeous botanical elements, you would have had some leftover bits and pieces. These pieces are going to be used as the backfill to fill any little holes or pockets that we need to even out once we apply our clusters to our ring. So now we're going to secure our 5 clusters to our hoop. Now you want to choose the longest clusters first, which will end up being the outer pieces. I like the look of this one actually. You're basically going to lay the cluster on top of the hoop and grabbing one of your wires, you're just going to feed the wire through the middle of the cluster and then bend the wire back to catch the hoop. It's a little bit awkward at the start and it'll probably want to feel like it wants to spin, but bear with it. Once you get the first 1 or 2 little clusters on, it'll hold and take shape. You want to make sure that the first cluster is on really firmly, and the best test is like the little shake wiggle test. If you know that that's on and secure, the rest is going to be just walk in the park. Next cluster, you're going to just lay it over the top of where that last one stem's finished to build it around the length of the hoop. Here's a fun fact for you, that traditionally a hoop was, I just spun it, a hoop was used for a Christmas wreath because it has no end or no beginning, so it's eternal, just like a wedding ring. Be concerned to use, you know, quite a few wires, the beauty of using the floristry wires is that it's green, so you're actually not going to see any of the little hidden mechanics as you go around. You just want it to be really secure, because again, once it starts to dehydrate, it'll start to shrink. So we've now secured 3 of our clusters to our ring, and that should leave 2 clusters left. What you're wanting to do now is just turn the 2 clusters the other way. So if you've got one cluster going that way, you now want to position this cluster going the other way and secure it off with a wire, just leaving enough room for that last cluster to be the final tie off, and then you've got a gap in the middle there. So now we've got our 5 bunches all attached to our hoop. You just want to do that final wiggle test. If there's any movement or some little bits and pieces that are not secure, just put another wire in position. It's better to be safe than sorry later. Now it's time to just backfill a few bits and pieces where there might be a few little holes or pockets with all of those little bits and pieces that were left over from the original bunches. You just want to reduce the lengths to make them a little bit more manageable. You only need them to be sort of really tiny little clusters that you're going to individually wire and secure just at the base of either side of those 2 last clusters. So with the leucadendrums, you're just going to take a wire and bind the center of the 2 or 3 leucadendrums and twist it off so that you've got a wire secured around the middle. And then you're just going to feed or place over the foliage and the wreath, making sure that you grab the ring, which is at the back, and then tying it tight just towards the back so it's secure, and twist them into position so that they poke through. If you find that they sit too long, you can easily just trim a little bit of the length off. So now it's time for the finishing element, which is going to be our ribbon garnish. You've got a beautiful selection of different textures to choose from, or hey, we're going to use them all because more is more. Now this is where you can get a bit creative. Using the linen and the other ribbons, what you're wanting to do is just sort of make a few little pucks and have a bit of a play. Actually, I think that's going to trail for this one. And with these beautiful ribbons, just sort of tie them off and loop them. Don't be too concerned if you're not loving what they're doing right now, because once we tie them off with a wire, you can get a little bit more movement in them once you attach them to your wreath. But you can be quite traditional and tie an actual bow if you like that kind of more formal look hanging off your wreath. But because there's such beautiful organic qualities to this linen ribbon and the botanical foliage and berries and nuts and things, I think it pays for a bit more of a organic feature. So now you've done your ribbon, you are going to apply it to your wreath. And that's just a matter of using the same process and principles as putting the wires over the wire frame and the foliage and tying it off. Give it a little zhuzh. And hold it up to admire your work. So now this is the tricky bit, working out which way your wreath is going to hang on the door. And there you have it. Our festive Christmas wreath ready to be hung on your front door.